July 1402. On the plain outside Ankara, the invincible Ottoman Empire is dying, and everyone can see it. Beyazıt I, the thunderbolt, is boxed in, his guard is collapsing, the escape route is blocked by a bristling wall of spears. If the Sultan falls here, the map of Europe changes overnight. Timur's center drive is crushing the Ottomans with armored elephants. Panic spreads like a fever. Turkic auxiliaries and Tatar mercenaries defect in the middle of the fight, turning their swords on their former masters. The famous war machine begins to dissolve into shouting, dust, and flight. Then, on the right flank, a wedge of 5,000 riders in heavy black plate does the last thing any sane soldier would do. Visors drop. Lances level. They charge straight into Timur's horde. These men are not Turks. They are Serbs, and their commander is despot Stefan Lazarević, a Christian prince fighting to save a Muslim sultan. From a nearby ridge, Timur watches the black-clad unit tear through his light cavalry, and he does not rush to slaughter them. Tradition credits him with a line as cold as steel. Those are not men. They are lions. Stefan cuts a corridor toward Beyazıt, shouting for him to flee, offering his own horse and his own life. Beyazıt, paralyzed by pride, refuses. Stefan covers the retreat of the Sultan's eldest son and fights his way out of the encirclement. So why would he do it? Why risk everything for the ruler who ordered his father's death? The answer isn't loyalty. It's survival, the kind that stains your hands. To understand Ankara, go back to Kosovo, 1389. News reached the Serbian court at Kruševac in a terrible hush. Prince Lazar was dead, and much of the nobility lay on the field of blackbirds. The state was decapitated in an afternoon. Lazar's son Stefan was 12, too young to rule, and surrounded by predators. The strongest person in Serbia was not the boy prince, but his mother, Princess Milica. Hungary pressed from the north under King Sigismund, eager to take Serbian lands, while the Ottomans regrouped in the south. Fighting both would mean annihilation. Milica chose Ottoman protection, and Beyazıt named the price: tribute, military service, and Stefan's sister Olivera sent to the Sultan's household. Olivera's departure was not a wedding, it was a public funeral without a coffin. She rode out in stony silence, a hostage for her people. Soon Stefan himself rode to Beyazıt's court to bend the knee before the man who killed his father. He expected a cage. Instead, he received favor. Beyazıt treated him with unsettling respect, warned him about Sigismund's duplicity, and promised Serbia's borders would hold, so long as Stefan remained useful. Gratitude became another chain. By the mid-1390s, Stefan was the iron fist in the Ottoman glove. Ottoman cavalry was fast, but it lacked the crushing shock of Western heavy armor. Stefan's armored knights provided it. That is why he rode to Nicopolis in 1396, not to rescue Christians, but to break them. The Crusaders arrived glittering with confidence, ignored Sigismund's caution, charged uphill, and crashed into stakes and janissaries. When Beyazıt wavered, Stefan struck the Christian flank and ended the last great crusade of the Middle Ages. Then came the executions of prisoners, and Stefan stood close enough to hear the ropes tighten. At Ankara, the contradiction finally snapped. Beyazıt's army shattered, the Sultan was captured, and legends later claimed he was kept in a cage. Details debated, humiliation not. Stefan rode away bloodied, suddenly a free agent with the only coherent force still standing. The leash was gone, and the Balkan chessboard flipped. His first move was not to retreat home, but to ride to Constantinople. The Byzantines needed him. In Hagia Sophia, the emperor granted Stefan the title of despot, the highest dignity below the throne. He reconciled with Sigismund and, in 1408, entered the Order of the Dragon to oppose a future Ottoman return. Sigismund granted Stefan Belgrade, a battered frontier fortress. Stefan rebuilt the White City with walls, a deep harbor, markets, and a court that drew knights and merchants. For a brief moment, Serbia did more than endure, it flourished. But the darkest threat came from inside his own house. Stefan's brother Vuk, tired of living in a legend's shadow, listened to Ottoman pretenders and rose with Turkish backing. The war was intimate and filthy, raids, burned villages, Serbs killing Serbs. To stop the bleeding, Stefan accepted a humiliating partition. Then the Ottoman civil war shifted, and Vuk was seized and executed by Musa Chalebi. Stefan reunited the realm, but the victory left him harder, lonelier, and more absolute. He built with silver as well as steel. The mines of Novo Brdo financed his state, and in 1412 he issued the Zakon o Rudnicima, a mining code regulating safety, property, and disputes with rare precision. He fortified Manasija Monastery as a cultural bunker and founded the Rezava school of scribes to copy and correct texts. The warrior also wrote, his Slovo Ljub, the word of love, is a quiet poem that sounds like a man speaking from behind a helmet. In the end, the problem was biology. Stefan had no son. He chose an heir from a rival house, Durad Brankovic, and forced the nobles to accept him. With Sigismund, he signed the Treaty of Tada, returning Belgrade to Hungary after his death. On July 19, 1427, during a hunt near Glavica, Stefan suffered a stroke and fell from his horse. Almost immediately, the border shifted and the Ottoman tide returned. So was he a traitor, or the man who bought his people time? You decide. Stefan's life proves history isn't a morality play. He rode with the crescent, struck down crusaders, and still became a saint in the Serbian church because he kept a country alive long enough to build laws, walls, and manuscripts that outlasted empires. Sometimes dying for honor is easy, living for survival is brutal. Would you have done differently? Tell me in comments.